Hello guys, welcome to another episode of 10 Plus with Esther Harrison. My name is Queen Esther and with me here is Miss Mercy and Miss Jasmine. Today we'll be talking about relationships and money. So please remember to like, subscribe so that you can easily get our notification when we post the next episode. And then remember to comment too because we'd like to know your views about the topic of today. So, Mercy, these days, right? People are so concerned about money in relationships. They've narrowed down relationships to be about money. What do you think about this?
To be honest, I'm not a very big fan of the whole relationships being stereotyped to survive solely on money. People are like, money is the aim in romance. Without money, you cannot work. Man, to be honest, I feel like money is a good thing in relationships, no doubt. But I don't think it's the main factor on which a relationship survives. Poor people get married.
Oh yeah?
I mean, people are in relationships and neither of them have crazy money or mad money or anything. Yes, so love is sweeter, money enter, love is sweeter. But I'm not a very big fan of the whole money is
prioritizing
yes,
in relationship thing. Because girls these days get to say, this guy is on my case now, does he have money?
Exactly.
That's the next question.
Or you can't follow this girl because you don't have money.
Yes.
That kind
She's
of
not
thing.
your class or something.
And I don't think that's really cool.
Okay, so Miss Jasmine, to what extent do you think money should influence a relationship?
I think in this part of the world, we're very stereotyped to, money influencing marriage or a relationship from the man's point of view. Like if the man is not well off, he's not doing okay, then perhaps it's not that person I should be with. Yes, money definitely should, it's a very viable factor. Like, are you able to take care of me? Would you be able to take care of a child when we do have a child? Can we pay our bills? And really, that's why I said in this part of the world, it's very stereotyped to the man providing. Like, okay, there are women that are blessed to have men who want to undertake the provision of the home. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't also bring something to the table. So in the Western world, it's what are you bringing? What am I bringing? So as much as money should be a factor when it comes to having a relationship with a man, money should also be a relationship when it comes to a man having a relationship with a woman. Are you going to be completely dependent on me? And am I ready for that kind of commitment?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a factor. It's a factor because we have to get a home. It's a factor because we're going to pay bills. It's a factor because we have to move around. But it's not, as she said, an all-encompassing factor.
Yes.
There's still other things that need to be, factors.
In fact, these days, guys are looking for rich girls too.
In fact, the first question they're asking is, where do you work?
True.
What do you do?
True.
Because they are interested. They want to know how you can help them.
True.
Instead of coming to be that liability.
It's almost a bragging right. My babe works in one oil and gas company. My babe is this. My babe. So like now, guys are looking for girls with money. To be honest, that's honest truth. That's honest truth.
So there's this argument between which should you prioritize, the future of the man or his finances? Well, I think it's relative for me. It depends on the situation, but I'd like to hear your view about that. So which should you prioritize and at what point? Should it just be about the man's finances, or if this person really has a goal for his life, what is his drive? What's he trying to achieve? He doesn't have the money now, but what he's doing is going to bring the money later. So when should you prioritize that?
It's not really a very difficult question because usually the future of a man somehow reflects his pocket. somehow.
Okay.
No matter where he is in that future journey. It could just be, in maybe we're looking at the future journey as A to Z. He might just be in F, but it will still reflect where he is going to. A man who might not have all he needs or all the financial capabilities that he would want in life, but you see is really dogged.
Oh yes.
And striving to make sure he's not comfortable. You know those kind of guys that you visit and they're still asleep at 12 noon, like on a Wednesday. So comfortable. Like, why are you so comfortable? Why are you so comfortable?
Very comfortable.
When you have a job.
Yes.
Like if you're going out and you're going to look for a job, or you're meeting an uncle, you're meeting an aunt, or you're talking to a friend, or you're selling something, then I know that you would not be the kind of man, because there's some men that could start off rich. I might hit something.
Yes,
you might hit a wall. It's that dogged mindset that would make him dust himself up and keep going.
That's true.
That's what I believe. That's what I trust. I trust in the ego of a man to not want to be fed and breastfed.
That's right.
That I know he will take care of me when the time comes. He would want to take care of me and the family.
Yeah.
So I think that's my mindset when it comes to, is his future more important than his pocket? Because most of the time, when you're starting young, the pocket might not really look like his future.
Yes, that's true. And people are like, if you can't struggle with me now,
Yes.
anywhere around my future, so it's normal.
Okay, so now, how do you identify a guy with that drive? How do you know, okay, this person has the drive? He's not there yet, but he will get there. Is it written on their foreheads?
Definitely
or are
not.
there certain things they do that makes
not.
you know that, okay, this person is not yet there, but then he's walking towards it? Like, I've met people who actually have very huge visions, very ambiguous things they want to achieve.
True.
But they're not doing anything right now at all. Like, no effort whatsoever to see how to achieve this thing. So, okay, this is two questions in one now. The first one, I was like, it's not written on your forehead. So, as a lady, how do you know? The second one is, the man actually keeps saying, yes, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that, but he's not doing what he's supposed to do. So in that instance, is it okay for you to walk away because he's not Mr. Talk and Do, he's Mr. Talk only?
You see, you just said it. I'll start from the second one you spoke about, if he's talking a lot. I grew up in a church where there's a lot of profession. Be professing. How do they say it?
Professor.
I cannot be the head. I cannot be the tail. I cannot be the head. And all of those things. And you hear men saying, you meet, this brother in church that is really okay. He's fine. When he's praying, you can feel the spirit. And he's telling you, in 5 years from now, I'll be driving my jet. First of all, you have not trained yourself to ride a plane or to fly a plane.
Yes.
So you are not even speaking realistically, because you're supposed to be saying that maybe I'm going to rent a jet or you're going to buy a jet, not that you're going to fly yourself.
Yes.
So first of all, is he all talk? The way you know that is when all he does is talk. All you do is talk. Like, in the next 5 years, this is what I'm going to do. In the next 4 years, this is what I'm going to do. But I am not seeing you making physical steps, taking physical steps to getting to that point. I have, unfortunately or fortunately, been around that kind of man before that would just keep saying. And it took me about 4 or 5 years of knowing him to realize that
He's just been talking.
Guy, you're not going anywhere.
He's just been talking.
As in, if I leave you this way, because some of these people, you have to actually hold them.
Yes.
That's why it should not be one-sided.
Okay,
Some women feel, okay, you should be the one teaching me what to do. But you should, if you're his friend, you should be able to tell him, okay, you want to be in the States very soon. you want to do this very soon, but what are we going to do to get you to that point? Okay, so those are the kind of things you should, what are you saying? And then what are you doing? That's my opinion.
That's true.
So you have to be able to put
Yes.
two of them hand in hand to
Yes.
see how, if they are going at par, if what he's saying is actually
Is
related
actually
to
what
his
he's doing.
actions, you know. Okay, so we'll take a quick break now and we'll be back shortly to continue our discussions. Please don't leave us, and the discussion is going to be more interesting as we get back. Thank you.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm still here with Mrs. Jasmine and Queen Esther. We've been talking about relationships and money. If you're watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on your post notifications. So, Miss Jasmine, let me ask you, what do you think about having an ungrateful partner? This can go two ways. I'm sure when I said this, everybody felt okay from a guy's perspective, having an ungrateful partner, but it can go two ways. And then from the guy's perspective, when he feels like, okay, he doesn't have so much money, but he's doing his best, he's doing a lot in his opinion, and she doesn't just seem to see it or appreciate it. What's
I think ungratefulness, as you said, goes both ways, you know. An ungrateful person is an ungrateful person.
That's true.
That's just it. If you do not see the little good that anyone does, and you always focus on the bad that the person does, ungratefulness tends to set in.
Yeah.
So it depends on what your focus is. When I first got married, within the first 1 month, I burnt rice like 5 times. It was so bad because usually he would have guests coming, so I would cook a full pot of rice and I would burn it to the ground. And every time he comes in, he's smelling rice. And he's like, you burnt it again? And the only thing he keeps asking is, I hope nothing caught fire. It's fine. Just scrape the top and I will eat it. And he's not that kind of person. He's actually very petty when it comes to food. But because he doesn't want me to feel like, oh, there's so much pressure on her, at least when I come home, the house is clean. At least the stew is made. You know? So the focus is good. So it takes away the ungratefulness.
Yes.
There are some women, you can buy her gold. You can buy her a new, like, there was this video, I don't know if you saw it on Instagram, that a man bought his wife like one beautiful car, the car that she had always wanted. And he blindfolded her and he took her all the way to the car. He sat her inside. She was so excited when he took off the blindfold because she was inside. Oh my God, the car that I always wanted. I love you so much. And then when she came out, she started crying.
Why?
And he was wondering, is it a cry of
Yes.
She said he has to return the car. It is not the color she wanted. You can imagine that level of ungratefulness. And it comes from a feeling of entitlement.
Exactly.
I am entitled to this. This is what I deserve.
That's true.
You know, after all I'm doing for you, this is what you do. This is what you give to me. You know, and it's that kind of feeling that leads to ungratefulness. And let us not mix up ungratefulness with demanding your right. Because there are some times that you want to be appreciated. And then it seems like you're not being appreciated. And you have to demand the appreciation. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful for the way the person is treating you. Or maybe the person's love language is just to buy you gold and not to say thank you. But your love language is, tell me thank you. I want to hear it from you. So communication is very important, as well as you determining in your heart to just look at the good. See the person's intention rather than the action.
Yeah.
I think you've said
that
it
makes sense, a lot of sense.
Because I'm also a fan of communicating. Make sure you talk about
It's very
tell the person
important.
how you feel, tell the person what you want the person to change. And if you're the ungrateful one and they're telling you, you should also make an effort to
Take
see
correction.
how to change.
That's true.
So moving on, we want to talk about prolonged fantasy.
Yeah,
Almost
almost everybody.
everybody has this thing you want in your partner. Yeah, it must be this, it must be that.
Yes.
So, but in real life, these things don't just come through exactly how you have them in your mind. So, do you think it can affect the success of your current relationship?
Of course.
Okay.
Fantasies have been built up over years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people assume fantasies should just be limited to sexual fantasies.
No.
Like what you've always dreamt of sexually. And sexual experience, especially people who do not have sexual experiences before marriage. They already have this ideology, and usually it doesn't turn out that way. But our fantasies start up. Do you know when they actually really start up? When you start watching Disney princesses.
Oh yes.
The knight in shining armor.
That's true.
Prince Charming. He has to be handsome.
He has to be tall.
And tall. Dark. He has to speak good English.
Definitely.
His voice has to have this rasp.
Yes.
So if a man that has almost everything comes and he's talking to you in, yeah, so I like you. It's like, no.
What's wrong with your truth?
But you know, if you look at a fantasy if you pen down your fantasy,
Yeah.
and you drop the child, and you look at it from an adult's point of view, you would see how almost stupid your fantasies look. And then when you go to the sexual fantasies and you realize that those things might actually be desires and expectations that no one could actually ever give.
Yes, tick all the boxes, right.
It will affect a relationship if you do not bring your present spouse into your fantasy. Me, I feel the secret to fulfilling fantasies is, first of all, get to know your spouse. So you need a year or two to restructure your fantasies, because those fantasies will not disappear. Anyone that will tell you delete your fantasies, it's not possible. But what you do after you get to know these people, you get to know their language, you put them in like data into that fantasy, and then it builds up a foreseeable fantasy being lived out.
And then in that case, your partner will be able to at least try to satisfy whatever craving you've always had.
And communication too.
Yes.
As we said.
Yeah.
If I tell my husband, oh, I've always fantasized to, make love by the beach. It's now in his hands to tell you, oh no, I don't want to do it in public. Let's get a private beach. Okay, we'll buy a private beach. If we can afford it. But if we can't afford it, we'll have to wait until we can.
Yeah.
But I've communicated it.
Yes.
He knows what I expected. And he knows how to curtail my expectation until it can be brought to pass.
Yes.
That's true.
This still brings us to the fact that communication is very important.
It is.
When you're in a relationship, you should talk. You should tell the person how you feel, tell the person what you want, tell the person exactly as he's doing you. Don't hide anything.
But like sometimes these fantasies are money inclined.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's another angle.
Oh, yes.
People, in fact, let me speak. Most girls see themselves living la vida loca in their husband's house.
Oh, yes.
Which isn't wrong, but that we haven't embraced the reality that it might not happen.
True.
Like, if everybody wants to marry the whole rich guy that spoils you car on your first year anniversary,
True.
this one, trips here and there, and then you meet a guy. And he doesn't just have it, really. It affects everything. Because you're already anticipating, I'm about to take my children to school.
True.
We'll have this, we'll have that. When he comes back, you come back with gold.
If he wants to apologize to me, he buys me a car.
Exactly. All those things. I am very sure it affects a lot of relationships.
It leads to what we said, ungratefulness.
Serious
Nothing he
ungratefulness.
does then would satisfy.
Okay, that's the part I now come to say that if you know you can't cope, then leave somebody's child alone. I keep saying this, and my friends laugh all the time.
Yes.
You know you can't cope with this thing. Then leave this person alone. Let him find
Stop being
somebody
a burden,
who would
unnecessary
cope with him.
burden.
Because you like one other aspect, and you know you're going to nag his life out or nag her life out on this one. You still end up marrying that person only to make the person feel very
Miserable
It
throughout.
is very unfair. So if you know you
Honestly.
can't cope, leave the person
I
alone.
agree.
Yes.
I agree.
And this will lead us to our next point, which talks about varying upbringings.
Yeah.
We're all brought up differently. And then how do you reconcile that when the person is not really meeting up? Maybe you're used to drinking tea from a mug. The person is used to plastic
Rubber
cups.
cups. Yes.
And then you're just not happy. I mean,
Let's make it more realistic.
Okay, fine.
Eating swallow with cutlery and the
then
person
hand.
exactly
The person enjoys licking his
or
fingers or her
eating
fingers.
shawarma every fortnight when the person wants what is that your bad thing that beans and oil thing that what's the
It's not bakery now.
no
White beans and stew.
yes. I remember before the show ends. I remember the name.
There's this thing they used to going.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's
So,
it.
how do you now walk your way around that to avoid tensions, conflicts, to avoid unnecessary drama?
Even with the parents.
Yes.
The parents of the two people involved. Because of the varying upbringings, the people at the higher class might not necessarily want their child to settle for someone that comes from
lower
and
class.
that's our reality. It's happening every day.
True. When it comes to relationship now, not marriage, you need to put your cards on the
Lay
floor.
them out.
Okay, it's very important you know what you can tolerate and what you cannot. I actually dated a guy that his parents didn't want me to marry him because I was not from a well-off family. I wasn't from a family with name. Okay, so it can be very difficult. It can be taunting. Even if you force your way into the home, you would struggle for a long time to satisfy
them.
There would be absolutely nothing that might satisfy them until maybe just a miracle happens. Now, on the other side, even when you marry a good man that is from a good home, your upbringings are different. My husband came from a very big home. A home that his mom would cook for thousands. Even people on the street, she would say, come and eat. I grew up in a home that was very small. Very few of us, and my mom, it was a very closed system. So when I got married to him, it was very difficult to understand why on a normal Monday morning, my husband would tell me, okay, there are like 20 people coming and you need to cook rice and sauce. And I'll be wondering like,
where do you start from?
This man doesn't want to suffer me. I know he doesn't want to suffer me, but what's going on? Like, is this normal? And until I found out that this is actually normal behavior with them.
Yes.
And he understood that this is abnormal behavior for me. Then he started fighting for me.
Okay.
So when I would make Ona, swallow, that he's not hard enough because his family is tough. Semo.
Okay.
And I make it, and in the north we make it very light.
Yes.
And they don't eat it. He will get angry with them. If my wife didn't make the right thing, then tell her how to make the right thing. Don't make her feel like she's less of a person because she made it in a certain way. So it's very important that you both know each other and support each other's background. You know, as much as you would not overburden the person with where you're coming from, the person also needs to learn where you're coming from, and then there has to be a bridge of divide. Okay, this is what we can do. This will left to my husband's normal family, this house would be full of people. But because he knows where I am coming from, he has decided to cut it down.
Which is good, because I like the part where you said he stood up for you, which is very key. In most situations, it's difficult. The other partner sometimes finds it difficult to. Hope I won't be offending my in-laws, my family people. They are going to say, what did this woman put for you? What did the man do to you? You know, talks like that will always come up. So it's usually it takes a lot of courage to actually stand by your partner whenever you realize that this is something that she's not used to or he is not used to. What did you have something to say or add?
Really, me, I'm just all for my girls. All of you that are praying for rich husbands. People that watch the men's club, they're like, God of Aminu, locate me. Please,
somebody that desires that kind of.
let's be calming down a little bit to be more realistic, because not everybody there has it easy. The fact that you might have it easy doesn't mean that every guy out there has it easy. Same with guys of you that are looking for rich men. It's not easy to be a rich man in this society. It's not easy. So let's just be more realistic with our fantasies, with what we desire from other people, our expectations, everything, and try to be more grateful. Basically. That's all that's in my head.
Right, so thank you.
Yes, we're out of time.
Yes, we're out of time. We've been getting signals. So please remember to drop a comment. Let us know what you like us to talk about next. We would like to hear your views so that we can talk about it together and rub minds. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.